Hello, I'm Susan Dunlop, and welcome to episode 40 of Coffee and Contemplation with Susan. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm going to introduce my guest soon, but before I start, I would just like to just give you some background on Coffee and Contemplation with Susan. The intention was to get women from every generation of life to come and share their story, because every woman has got a story. And I find that the people who've listened so far have managed to pick up small snippets or large snippets of takeaways that they can apply to their own lives, which I think is helpful, and also just brings in that sort of the sharing of conversation from 19-year-olds to 90-year-olds, or at the moment we're going to be talking to someone in their 50s. So we're going midway for the 40th episode. Today's show is talking to Julia Carter. So welcome, Julia.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have you be here today.
And it was lovely that Julia asked me basically to test my boundaries one more time, and where I was sort of originally setting my goal to do 40 episodes, and that was just sort of a podcast of an audio type, that I just was going to look back and see how far I came with that in my own learning curve. Julia, being this absolutely amazing creator of the art around us here in her studio in Noosa, said, "Oh, can't we do it on video?" I went, okay, I can do it. So, we're going to give that a shot today. And in my first is worst, dare to suck type of attitude, we'll just see how we roll. Julia and I met, I think, 15 years ago. I actually met Julia through a piece of her artwork that I found at the Noosa Art Gallery. And it was the flowers of Timbiwa. So it was a beautiful wildflower painting. And I think that was actually in Julia's first couple of years of painting, even though she's obviously an artist before that. But as I always say, this is not my story. So that is where I first met Julia, and I'd like to just now let Julia tell her story. And maybe if we start with, let's go back to the beginning, what are your fondest memories that maybe made this creator in you come out?
Well, I think one of the very first memories of being creative was spending time with my grandmother. Mainly on the weekends, we'd go over and have a lovely dinner, and then we'd settle down with my gran and we'd create. We'd make so many different amazing things. I'd do peg dolls, crochet, knitting. We would just create generally, and anything was possible. And she was so nurturing and so supportive that every time I made anything, she'd say, "Oh, did you do that?" And it was just so special. And now I've got grandchildren and I'm actually able to say that to them, which means so
amazing.
much.
Yeah. And you were saying too that you've only just recently heard that your grandfather was an artist.
I know. It was an amazing thing. I actually went to a psychic lady and she said, "I have someone coming through," and they were saying how they really love what I do. They're with me when I paint and they love to paint too. And I didn't know who it was. And she said it's an elderly man. And so I went and asked my mum, and she said, "Oh, yeah, Grandpa was an amazing painter. He won an Australian award, was in a national magazine for art." And I never knew. And this is, 20 years on. So it's good.
So it's in your roots anyway, that whole creative streak. And when I met you, I know this probably will lead us into that next part that we always talk about. That's that, the darkness to light. I remember that I think it was your first collection is what we bought from. And before that, you were working as a preschool teacher, but something went wrong. So maybe shall we cover that now? Because there's so much lightness from you. I think we'll move definitely into so much lightness. Can we talk about that?
Definitely. Yes, I came from England originally. I was coming out as a backpacker and met my husband nearly straight away, which was amazing. 31 years ago, totally fell in love. And then I didn't really mind what I was doing, but I worked with Noosa Council on some different projects and ended up working with children. So I decided I'd go and do early childhood teaching. And it was 7 years in working with preschool out in the Mary Valley. And then one day I came to school early and workmen had taken the veranda away. And as I stepped outside to set up the class outside, I fell a long way onto concrete and
Oh,
injured
no.
my back really badly. And then I ended up, spending the next 2 years really recovering and quite dark times, to be honest. And in that time, I began to do different creative things just to be positive and, try and make sense of it all. And actually, painting was one of the things I started doing, and also pottery and jewelry making.
More. Okay.
But out of the painting, it just began to take on its own life. And before I knew it, people wanted my painting. And yeah, it just became all I wanted to do.
And I said, I think in my intro on the Instagram post, when I said I was going to have you on, there's a lot of magic in your painting. Like even here, like every piece of artwork in this room has got glitter or sort of a shine of gold or lightness behind it. So is that your signature that you bring that in?
It is. I was, as I said, a preschool teacher, and the sparkle is something that I am able to put into my work to represent the magic. And I just don't think you can have never enough sparkle. Yeah.
And next, a piece that I've got is like that we sit it in the light, and it's got beautiful strips of gold up, like in the layering that you've got. You've got all these lovely layers of, the wildflowers, but then there's the grass, and then there's little beetles, and then
I
there's
think that comes
glitter.
back to the early childhood thing. It's a bit like Where's Wally? It's like find the little lady beetle and find the special words that are hidden in there.
That's lovely. I think we end up buying, I think, 8 pieces. I didn't realize all sorts of sizes, but our house for a while there was actually just basically like your gallery. So.
Oh, that's really special. I do have a lot of people who actually have collected my work over the years.
Yeah.
And I do like to say, when you buy my painting, I come with it. So it's really nice to be in touch with everybody and know where my pieces have gone. They are really part of me, part of my soul.
Oh, they're just beautiful. They are so lovely. And you incorporate words throughout your artwork as well. Yeah. I've seen, like, there's endless possibilities or infinite possibilities.
I think when I did my degree back in England, I did do literature and sculpture. And the literature part does definitely really come into my work. I love quotes. I totally love quotes. And they're just all layered in to give the pieces extra meaning and really tell a story. So the viewer can go into the work and they can go on a whole journey around the painting and discover things and really take the opportunity to reflect on their own life. And they nearly all resonate in different ways with everyone.
Yeah, I could see that. They're almost they're meditative. I think that's what I've seen. It's like I was looking before. Julia's doing a chakra series, and we were just looking at the root chakra, and I think, but it's sort of, as you look at it, you don't see it all, but then you see further and further and further into it.
Yeah.
But it's more that I'm actually relaxing to take the time to look at it. Yeah.
When I begin a painting, I actually start with the meditation, and I start by putting as much love and positive energy into the work as I can. And there's a lot of different little heart symbols in there that I put in at the beginning.
Okay.
And I believe that the energy hopefully goes out, into the world wherever it's needed.
Let's talk about the world. Okay. So your art, when I met you, it was almost like you did that for a therapy to come through that dark place of having been, stopped in your tracks. And since then, I saw you were traveling internationally and something to do with the Louvre. Oh my God.
I know.
So let's talk about, how did you actually make that happen?
Yeah, it was really quite surreal. I was lucky to show my work in Melbourne at the big art fair there. And while I was there, somebody was an international curator who saw my work, and they invited me actually to show in a medieval castle in Ferrara in Italy. And I just remember at the time just ringing my husband, and he said, "Oh, you don't know, there's a lot of strange people out there, it's probably not real." And so obviously I followed it all up, and it was. And then from there, I got invited all over the place. I was in London and New York a lot of times,
Oh,
and
really?
Hong Kong, and Paris, and London. I think that was an amazing experience that I did for, about 10 years. I was literally holding on for the ride. It was just incredible. I was just from one place to the next, painting as hard as I could, but enjoying every minute.
So you were painting overseas as you went?
No, I did actually just paint here.
Okay.
But, so I did 4 international shows one year, and it was so much to do,
There's so
but
much.
it was incredible. They were all too good not to do.
Yeah. And were they all big pieces? Are they the...
All sorts of sizes. Yeah, all sorts of sizes. When I've done maybe 5 shows in Hong Kong, and I'd take a series of, smaller, medium, and large pieces.
Okay.
And really, it was a matter of painting to suit where I was showing as well. So they were all different.
So the pinch me moment, was that the castle?
Oh, that was definitely a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
I think one of the last places that I did show internationally was in Paris, in the Louvre.
Yeah.
And so that actually coincided with the Florence Biennale. So I knew I was coming to the end of that chapter because it was really exhausting.
Okay.
But I decided I would show in those 2 places and then finish that international chapter.
Okay. I won't go into business. I'm just picturing the business side of this. Must have been extraordinary on the other space. So we might talk about that some other time rather than go into that.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about, though, we talked when we first met, like because we've both been through 15 years journey since we first met. And we were talking about that evolved woman and, where you're up to now. So, where has that led you? So internationally, obviously, is out of the picture with COVID.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe, do people buy online or?
Yes. I did a recent commission for some lovely lady I met when I showed in Strasbourg. She managed the hotel I stayed at, and she commissioned a big piece for her place in France. So that was lovely. There's no problem with the freighting overseas. But now I just actually do like being home in Noosa, in my gallery. And so generally the lovely clientele are in the local area.
Yeah. And you've got some open studios.
That's right.
Coming, yeah.
Yes, it's a lovely event. It's my 5th year of being in the event, where all the artists and the gallery owners in the Noosa area open up for 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And all the at this stage, Queensland people can come and visit, and it's great.
So you're sort of grounded as such. So there's I think grounded, but also more grounded. That you've actually, reconnected to what I first remember. You had that beautiful little cottage somewhere out here in the hinterland.
Yes, and we still have that.
Have you?
Yes, that's actually probably the next chapter. Well, it will be if everything goes to plan. It's a lovely, amazing property that we've actually called Lumia. Okay. And in Aboriginal, that means here I rest, but in Latin, it's light. So in my mind, it's rest and light up. Okay. And I did want to do workshops there originally and called it the Hideaway Art Farm. And then with the international things that happened, I wasn't able to do that. But now I feel ready, now is the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you're are you going to teach art, or what is it you're going to do there?
You were saying about evolving, and I guess in that time since I first met you, I have become very, very, I suppose, spiritual in a way. I love how the magic happened so incredibly at the time and has never stopped. So I know it's more than me. Yeah. And that's something I really love. I just love my meditation. I do yoga. I'm actually doing the crystal singing bowls. I'm learning African drumming, but I just really want to bring it all together.
Very sensory.
And I really want to meet other lovely people and just spend time out there with people. And so I've called these retreats Art and Soul retreats. Ah,
lovely. I think it's the right time right now too. Yeah. Like I know, like I've got daughters in their 20s and they're very much seeking that type of, they're trying to become a little bit more real and centered and find themselves. So I can imagine that you're going to have quite a wide range of interest from the different decades of life. So
Yeah.
What would make life ridiculously fun for you?
Oh, wow, that's a funny question. I think what springs to mind is what we were just talking about gathering these amazing people together out in that lovely property out near Umundi, and putting on some great music, dancing, dressing up, painting together, having
Oh,
amazing food and wine, just really having lots and lots of fun out there
yeah.
in nature.
Oh, that'd be amazing. So has it got accommodation?
It doesn't have accommodation.
No.
There is the possibility there. We
Okay.
have quite a lot of the studio self-contained. The house is quite big, but at this stage, it's just looking at days.
Okay. But there's plenty, I know, just through our own business that we know people who own a lot of Airbnbs
Oh,
out there. So a lot of people would actually quite easily be able to get to your property from Umundi, say.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's so much else to do in the area. So would it be a great holiday thing to do?
Oh, it would, wouldn't it? Yeah. So what else we talk about? So I was thinking about, advice. So as a wise woman that you've become, what type of advice would you give girls in that first decade of womanhood or adolescence, that 10 to 19-year-old?
Mm.
What would you say to them that you wish you'd been told when you were that age?
Well, I think because I grew up being quite creative, I was never told that's a great job you could do, because it just wasn't. It wasn't a
No.
proper job back then. So even when I did sculpture and literature, I was still going to go back and do a postgraduate course in a proper job, interior design or something. But I think since then, the whole journey that I've been on has showed if you love what you do,
Mm.
you're capable of anything. You can succeed at anything. So whatever it is, find your passion and just do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And also there was something else I thought of, because I did grow up feeling very strange and
Oh, did you?
different because I was always doing my own thing. I didn't feel like I really fitted in. And I think when now I look back, there's a lot of people like that.
Oh,
Probably
think
most
so.
people
Yeah.
feel that they're different, but I think that's good. And I just think it's good to be different, but also you might not have met the right people,
That's right.
and
Yeah,
you've got
that's
to
right.
find your tribe,
Yeah.
and then you're all the same, and you can all support each other.
I think so. And I think there's a lot of that, the space. My husband Tom was talking about, there was a fellow, he was saying, when people say, oh, I'm anxious. And he said, well, if you were in my tribe, I would have had you as being the scout, because I know that you would be alert. So don't treat it as being something negative. It's actually, you actually have a quality in you that would actually suit, what the whole village needs. Nothing,
Totally.
So yeah,
That's
you've got to
great.
find that and just be
Yeah.
comfortable with it, I think.
And I think that is something for me now that I'm really just feeling comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so I feel so excited about this new chapter. I feel like I've got a half life still to live, and I'm just stepping into being my authentic self.
And I think it does take that time. And obviously people do it a lot earlier, but I think most of the women I seem to be coming across in that sort of the 40s, 50s are stepping into that space of just being real and being themselves. And, they're losing that sort of, not that ego's bad, but I think you're feeling that they're actually dropping into
Who they
who they
truly
really
are.
are. Yeah, and being okay with that.
That's right.
Yeah. What I was going to ask you about, so creativity-wise, do you ever start some work and find that you're totally on the wrong path with it, or do you continue through once you've actually started?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I probably don't go straight into work without having a really great feeling about
Okay.
it. It sort of is like a little seed or a baby growing. It really takes time until it's ready to birth.
Okay.
I really do have visions. Sometimes I get some inspiration, and I'm quite obsessed about seeing that through. And so when I start, it's really exciting. But before long, you do hit the next stage. And there is sort of a saying that it's about thirds, and the first stage is great. The second one is like, oh no, I've ruined it.
Oh, okay.
And the last one is, oh, thank goodness. And it's like a jellyfish on heat excitement. But sometimes that journey really shifts in a different direction, and it's totally not what you were thinking.
Oh, really?
But now I've learned that that's such a natural part of it. And I actually allow the painting to lead the way.
Okay. Actually, I think what's her name? Big Magic. Liz Gilbert.
Yeah.
She said that. She said not to doubt the creative, where it's going.
No.
Don't try and get in the way of it.
No, it definitely speaks to you.
Yeah.
And I just find, the more you sit and reflect, the more it reveals. And I'm especially finding that at the moment with these chakra paintings. The things that are coming out to me are really profound, and I'm just loving it.
I love every time I come. You've actually got a colour of paint on your fingers.
And that's when I'm not painting. So,
so you can't keep your fingers out of it.
It was only like 5 minutes before you came.
Is there any particular, like, you're a quote girl, okay, so this is going to be hard for you. Is there a particular quote that you go to when you need to just pull yourself back into line?
Just one.
Well,
one's a bit tricky. As you see around my studio, I've got so many quotes, but I think probably the one that springs to mind is, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. And that's why they call it the present.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's good. So it's about being
Well,
here.
it's about being here in the moment. I mean, yesterday, the history thing, you can't change. It really doesn't matter what was gone before. We are not our old stories.
No.
And tomorrow, well, especially with COVID, everything's possible. You just don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And I've met, I've had beautiful people in my life that have passed away too early, and you just don't know what around the corner is.
No.
So it's about living in the moment. It's about using our blessings and our gifts to really embrace life, all the simple little things. You look back one day and they were the big things. There's another quote, sorry. But it's about being now and really noticing the magic that's all around.
Well, I noticed that today, like when we sat down and then we were having trying to set ourselves up to get this working. And we had to keep on dropping into it's okay. Whatever comes out will be how it comes out. And I'm very grateful that you let that be the way we went. So it calmed me down in being my first video recording. Is there any particular song that is your favourite song that you go to?
Yes, there's lots of songs. And I find songs are quite magical too. They take you back to a moment in time, and they really can bring up some amazing things inside. But the one song that comes to mind is What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong.
Oh, I love that.
When I was little, my parents used to have it playing in the car or at home, and I was always fascinated by that depth of his voice. What an amazing voice.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was the preschool teacher, and we did a concert, and all the children performed to What a Wonderful World and the, see leaves of green or whatever. And then, amazingly enough, I was at a breakfast function only a couple of years ago, and unbeknownst to me, here comes Herb Armstrong, the grandson of Louis.
Oh, okay.
And he could have been him. And he just sang the song.
Oh, no.
And I sat there and I burst into tears. And I was, oh, my goodness. And I was trying to sneak a photo, and he saw me and he got me up dancing in front of everybody. And it was the most embarrassing but most beautiful moment ever. So that was really special. And we've stayed in touch, which is so special. And then when I had my own profile video done, I had that as the background music. And when I went to Paris, I found myself an amazing musical box with What a Wonderful World.
Oh, that was meant to be.
That was meant to be. And so my poor husband, George, I play it in his ear when I want him to wake up in the morning.
That's nice.
So, yeah.
That's a nice thing to do.
Very special.
So what's life like on a daily basis and living in the present for you? What rituals do you have as part of your day around doing this creativity that you do?
Oh, wow. Well, I do have quite a big practice. I get up, and I'm always dying to get up. I'm always awake so early. But I get up and I make my husband a coffee, and I take mine downstairs into my little room, and I do a beautiful meditation, usually with Deepak and Oprah, about grace and gratitude, or limitless possibilities. and I play my little singing bowls. I do my little oracle cards, and it sets me up in such a way that whatever might have been going on, I'm at peace with the day, and I go out then, and I usually take a lovely run or walk through the national park, and I just see what magic happens every day, and there's always lots of it. And I always find little heart leaves, which sort of tell me I'm on the right track. And they say, oh, that's the person
That's
I was
lovely.
thinking of, that I, must remember to love them even more.
So you're very present when you're out there then. You're not just tuning
totally.
out. Like a lot of people tune out. You can see when they, because I'm down there every time in the morning too, but you see people walking and, God, just actually look and see where you are.
Especially at the moment, the wildflowers are coming out, and the whales are coming through, and there was dolphins out there the other day, and I like to say hello to every single person that comes past. So no, it's really lovely, a really wonderful way to be, and we are very lucky here.
Oh yeah. So you've got Lemire is going to be something. Have you got any dates yet set for that? Or where are you going?
Not really.
No?
I'm just waiting for the Open Studios event to happen.
Okay. Yep.
And
that's October, I think, isn't it?
Yes, that's the 1st, the 10th of October.
Yeah.
And then I've had a lot of people come to me, and so I'm just going to probably launch it after that.
Okay.
I want it to happen very organically and in a very small, nurturing way. I don't want it to be big. And so I'm just putting it out there.
Okay. So it's a beginning. So you'll get there.
It certainly is. Yeah.
But Julia, we've actually got to the end of our time. It's just really quick.
It's so quick.
I think it took longer setting up than we actually did do it. This Julia Carter. So she's absolutely incredible artist, and I'm sitting here looking at the most beautiful art pieces that totally relax you when you're sitting here. So I think I'll spend more time out here and bring a cup of tea with me and just sit on your lounge. I think
definitely, you're very welcome.
Yeah, so
you all are.
I think. The other thing you were talking about before we go. You said something about you've got some artwork. Was one of your other pinch me's something to do with the Wesley Hospital? What was that?
Oh, I do have quite a lot of work in different medical places, which means the world to me, because after what happened with my accident, I believe my work can bring some healing and positive energy to others. But I did a very, very big painting of wildflowers some years ago, about 8 years ago, and just felt there was something in it that was incredibly special.
Okay.
And there was a surgeon named Dr. David Chen who had my work already. And I contacted him and just said, have you got any thoughts where this could be? And he said, the Wesley Hospital is now doing its foyer up. They're renovating. I'll go and have a chat. And before I knew it, they got my painting and they put it in the foyer of the Wesley Hospital. I donated it.
Oh, yeah.
And it just meant the world to me. That was probably the best highlight of my career, because, it's just there to help people who need it.
So it's interesting. That's probably what I was just saying just before that, then the feeling of this room is healing, so it is. Your work is actually healing in a way. All of it makes you at least calm down. Like there's nothing erratic about any of your artwork. It's just all just absolutely incredible. So I would recommend if you're in Noosa, come and meet Julia. And just stand for a while in front of her art. And so this is the end of episode 40 and the beginning of whether I do videos again. So we shall see how we go after this today. So thank you, listeners, for listening, and thank you, Julia.
Thank you, Susan. It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, it's been so nice connecting with you again.
Really great.
Yeah, so we'll be talking a lot more. And I said I'll probably have Julia back on in future just to talk that other side that's not the comfortable side for a creative. I know when you're actually in business, there's often you are the artist and then suddenly you're forced into this space of having to actually make it a business. So I know that actually happens to a lot of people, which we didn't really even tackle that at all, even in the questions I put forward to Julia. So we'll have a chat about that, because I think that is a big thing for people who are going to go into that creative space as their income. How do you actually make that actually become something that doesn't stop you, because having to make money off your creativity can be quite a challenge. And I know Liz Gilbert talks about that as well. Like she said, Don't put the pressure on your creativity
No.
to be your income.
No, do it straight. You have to have it from the heart,
Yeah.
and then it flows.
Yeah.
And then the money will come, but you can't make it the priority. Every time I sell a painting, it blows me away. I'm so I feel very blessed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, have you got much in the way of artwork always available for
I
people to
have
purchase?
now, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, thank you, listeners. And yeah, thanks again, Julia. So, episode 41 will be, I think, in the next 2 weeks. I've got the editor from my book is actually going to come on, and we're going to have a chat about her take on how she went with reading and editing the book for me, and just her takeaways. So it's a bit of the pre-launch of it. So
that's wonderful.
We shall see how we go.
Well done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.